pretty much finished. If any of you haven't yet given me your DNA database assignment or the resubmission, get onto that ASAP, please. Anthropology you did last year. So then it leaves chemistry and microbiology. And the impression I get is that for microbiology, we will be able to grade on what you've done because you've done about 3/4 of it. So the final practical was due to be done, but you did a practical on antimicrobial chemicals. So, you know, I think from what the lady said that I spoke to, you've got enough for microbiology to be graded on the basis of your first assignment and then this practical for the second one. And then they would come up with a grade for Unit 15, despite the fact you hadn't done all the practical, okay? So the general feeling is we've got enough to grade you on what you've done already. Unfortunately, we literally had no time to collect everything up before we had to rush out on the last day, and we've not been allowed back in. So I was in the process of putting all onto a spreadsheet, the predicted grades that we calculated. You know, we used the interactive calculator again, didn't we? So I might have to see, I've left those on my desk on a piece of paper. I haven't got around to inputting them all. So I might have to go in and get that. But what I think I'll do over the holiday is I've got access to all of your individual grades for all of your units, okay? And obviously I've got your grades for your exams. So I think what I'll do is go back onto the interactive grade calculator for each of you, which is going to take me quite a while, and come up with what we got, okay, when we did that. If any of you can remember and want to ping me an email, then that's great. Okay.
Do you mean the grades that we calculated last year?
No, the ones we did just the other week, didn't we? We put in your exam results.
I didn't do that one. Hold on, I can.
Do you remember we put in your exam results, your numerical
I don't think
value?
I was there because I wasn't in for the
Don't worry, I can always do yours, Holly.
I can do mine.
So you have to put in the numerical value for the exams and then come up with your grades, because I think that's going to be quite a good indicator, okay? Obviously, you know, it's going to be a prediction for microbiology, chemistry and law, okay? Unit 4, the decision I reached when I spoke to the the BTEC person. Okay, Justin, I will send you the numbers, okay? If anybody didn't get the numbers, some of you got them, didn't you? I did give some of you definitely a numerical value.
Yeah.
Don't tell me you didn't write them down.
Brandon, did you give me mine?
Yeah, I gave you yours.
Oh, that's how I in the text then. Diane, could you send me mine again, please? Thank you.
What's this?
Okay, so if you've got the numerical values, no worries. Justin, what I'm doing is I'm writing a note now, and I will send you this afternoon your numerical values for your tests. I'm just writing it down, okay? No worries at all. So it's going to be a prediction for microbiology and chemistry and also law, okay? But you know what you've got so far. Thanks, Lawrence. So, you know, we're pretty much, you know, I think we'll be okay with it. Now, Unit 4, which is the one that we've just got going on, I spoke to the subject advisor, and she agreed with me that the best approach is the one we're taking at the moment, which is we are working through the PASS criteria, okay, last week and this week, so that by the time we come back from Easter, if they look up and say we would like Unit 4 to be completed, we're in a strong position because we'll have already done some of the PASS, and I then will have to come up with a way of us doing the crime scene by a sort of virtual crime scene rather than actually setting it up. But equally, if they look up then and say, well, we think we'll base it on the 12 units that you will definitely have completed, or the 11 and a half, or whatever it is that we would have done, then fine. Okay, we might have done a bit of the past thing, but it won't really matter. Okay, so what I'd like you to do, we've worked on learning aim A already. So if any of you haven't sent that, get that sent to me, please, which was exploring procedures used to preserve, collect and record forensic evidence. Okay, and that's where you did the securing the scene, searching the scene, collecting the evidence, recording it, etc. You've done that, including health and safety and PPE. Is that okay with everybody? That's done, but only the pass. Okay, so let me have a little bit of feedback so that I don't feel I'm all alone.
I've done it.
All alone.
Did I send you that? No, I haven't sent you a draft. I'm going to send you the main one.
Was that the thing
Perfect,
that you
send it to
originally
me.
asked
So
us to
that
do for
was,
the points?
say that again, Alfie?
Was that the thing that you originally asked us to only do 4 of the points?
That's it, the bullet points.
Yeah, I think I
I did it all in a
sent it
PowerPoint.
to you.
Okay.
Perfect,
did we
that's
only have to
fine.
do 4
So
of
that
them?
covers P1, pass 1. Describe the procedures used to preserve, collect and record forensic evidence. Okay, that's P1. We're going to jump over P2 because P2 is select appropriate procedures to preserve, collect and record evidence. That's linked to the crime scene. You get given a crime scene and you have to select the appropriate procedures. Well, of course, we're not doing that at the moment. And we're going to jump on to P3. P3, you might want to jot some things down, folks. P3 is all on ALO if you haven't got the brief. Is describe the analytical techniques used to examine biological, chemical and physical forensic evidence. Okay, so I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what you've got to do. Again, if you want to, you can do this in groups. So I would say sort of 3 in a group. Just see what Lawrence is saying. Nothing. Yes, he's typing. Hi,
Diane.
Liz. Yeah.
Hiya. For some reason I can't.
You're having problems, aren't you? I got your email.
Yeah.
So Liz, I'll email some things to you.
Okay, thank you.
For the
Okay.
points on the P1, do we only have to do 4?
You had securing, searching. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like,
Yeah, but yeah, that's fine if you've done 4, but ultimately, if you have to submit evidence, you might want to get some together from other people.
Yeah, I've done all of them.
So bad.
That's fine.
Oh,
Ultimately, you're going to need all of them if we have to submit it. Thanks, Lawrence. I know there's a problem with the naming, isn't there, of the assignment. So you've done, basically, focus on the learning aims. If you read on the front of the assignment, learning AA is what we've done. We've now gone on to learning.
Hello?
B, but I do think they've been wrongly named. You're quite right. Okay, so to do in group, you want to groups of 3. I froze. Okay, email some of this email. You'll have information. You've got analytical techniques used to examine forensic evidence, and you've got to look at biological evidence, chemical evidence, and physical evidence. Okay, biological, chemical, and physical evidence. So you tell me what sort of things would be biological evidence that you might find at a crime scene. Type some things in or tell me.
Blood.
Blood, yeah, blood. Fingerprint, absolutely. Hair, absolutely. Hair, blood, fingerprints. Any more?
Woody, stop snoring. Woody.
Lawrence. Semen, absolutely. Anything else?
Wait, this is all physical evidence, right?
No, this is all biological.
Oh, biological. Okay, yeah.
Would
Reader.
Skin be one?
Saliva, good. Yeah, any skin cells, absolutely.
Yeah.
Bones. Yeah. Vom. We've got vomit. Yeah. vomit, anything. Biological evidence, okay, yeah, pollen, absolutely. Biological evidence is evidence that is either living or once was living, yeah, easy way, or it belonged to a living thing, okay, so anything. The ones you have to do are the following, and I have got it all in an email I'll send, but you might want to jot them down. It's the ones you have to know are blood, saliva, semen, fingerprints, hair, bone. Those are the ones you have to know about. So what you really need to do, remember it's only a pass we're looking at, P3, which is describe the analytical technique used to examine the biological evidence. What I would suggest you do, you can do it in a table if you want. You could put the name of the biological evidence. Then you could just say a little bit about it. You know, where might it be from? It could be blood, for example, could be a victim's. It could be a perpetrator's. It could be blood that's an old blood stain, which is not relevant. It might not even be human. So you could make a few comments about the blood. Okay. You could then, if you wanted to, in the next column, are you all managing to get this down?
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, first column again,
So
please.
if you would just literally suddenly quickly sketch yourself out the table, column 1, biological evidence, column 2, brief description. Yeah. Column 3, you could put how is it collected, couldn't you? You could, that would link into what you did for the previous bit of work. So for example, blood might be collected with a swab, or they might use special visualization techniques. You know, they use special lighting to see whether there's any blood there.
Oh, luminol.
Okay.
Luminol? I don't know.
Mickey, stop
Say that
texting.
again, Brandon.
I think is it luminol? I'm not quite sure.
Yes.
It kind of, yeah.
Yes, you can, Lawrence. It can be a PowerPoint. Okay, and then the final column would have to be what would you actually, you know, how would you analyse it? And the most obvious thing you would do with blood, or any ideas? There's 2 obvious things.
Microscope.
What could you work? Go on.
Microscope.
You could look at it under the
Oh
microscope.
no,
but
no,
even,
PCR. Sorry.
you could do PCR, but what would you probably do first? If you discovered it was human, you might want to work out the person's what?
Blood type.
Blood type, absolutely. So you might do blood group analysis. So you could just mention that. You might extract the DNA, you're quite right, Holly, and then do a DNA profile. Yeah. So then you could do the same for each of the others. For example, for fingerprints, you could talk about how you would lift them, you know, very brief. It's only a pass, just literally a couple of sentences, and what you would look for. And the idea it would enable you to identify somebody. Okay, so literally a tiny bit on each one. And as I say, if you were to do, I mean, I would say that an A4 table on this would be more than enough. 1 page, an A4 table, or you can do it in a PowerPoint or a mind map, however you like. Okay, and then it's the same idea, but you have to do the same for chemical evidence. Okay, chemical evidence, well, obviously any evidence that contains chemicals. So what type of thing might you be looking for when you're looking at chemical evidence? Any ideas? Justin's typing. Yeah, so you could be looking at chemicals involved in a fire, absolutely. Drugs, 100%, yeah. What might have killed somebody besides drugs? It might not be a drug, but it might be a poisons, absolutely, poisons. You might have samples that were taken post-mortem, for example, stomach contents, urine. You might be testing those, for example, for drugs or toxins. Okay, all right, you might have gunshot residue. Yeah, on somebody's hands, for example. There could be gunshot residue. So same idea, you can do it as a table if you want. Okay. What is the chemical evidence? What might it be from? Okay, how would you analyse it? Well, can you think of any techniques that you use, for example, to analyse different chemicals? You may have done them in chemistry. Beginning with a C, bit of a clue. Chromatography, absolutely. Different types of chromatography are used. Thin layer chromatography, which is probably what you did. Gas chromatography, something called high performance liquid chromatography, HPLC. Okay, so there's gas chromatography, TLC. Ooh, why is this not working? Okay, hang on. My little messaging thing. Oh, it is TLC. What else did I say? HPLC, high performance liquid chromatography, or GC, which is gas chromatography. Okay, so you could look at those different types of chromatography, but it's only a pass. So literally just a few words about it. You might need to say more if we go on to have to complete the unit, because the merit is justification of why you would have chosen a particular technique. So if you decided you were going to use TLC, why would you use it? That would be the merit. And evaluating how well it works would be the distinction. Okay, so at the moment, just a few words, but it's good to do a little bit of writing, a little bit of reading about it. Other methods are colorimetry. So colorimetry could be used as a, color. Can you see my spelling mistakes? No, colorimetry. Yeah, you can, Safi. So the chemicals, Justin, are, all they tell us are drugs. You could choose any, you know, a C drug. Poisons, again, you could choose any. Just give an example of a couple of poisons. Gunshot residue. And then they just say urine, stomach contents. Is that all right, Justin? So I'll just say those again. So drugs, you could choose class A, B, C, maybe do 2 drugs. Poisons, any couple of poisons. You could do a pesticide, for example, and 1 other. You could do something like cyanide. You then could do gunshot residue. They mention that. And then stomach contents and, what did I say? Urine. Those are the 2 post-mortem fluids that they mention. Is that okay, Justin? Okay, so the same idea, we could use chromatography, we could use colorimetry. Other methods that are used for analysis would be mass spectrometry. Okay, no worries, Joseph. But also you could look at things like, just trying to think, yeah, you could, they also would like you to look, I'll type it in, at something called chemical enhancement. So these are just some pointers. Chemical enhancement. This is particularly used if you're looking at fingerprints. For example, you might use something called, you might have used this at college, ninhydrin. Ninhydrin, did you use that when you did chromatography?
Yes, we recently did that, I think. No, that's
yeah,
what
absolutely. It stains amino acids purple. So it's quite a good way of visualizing fingerprints, because obviously you've got proteins on your fingers, amino acids on your fingers, and it leaves a mark. So chemical enhancement of fingerprints using a chemical like ninhydrin, you could talk about. that's a good one to include. Okay, so that's the chemical evidence. And then I'm sorry, but it's the same again, but for physical evidence. Okay, any thoughts on what might be physical evidence? So it's not biological, so it's not living or once from a living organism. It's not containing chemicals. Any thoughts on any physical evidence?
The weapon?
Absolutely. So weapons, that could be, you know, I mean, we could group that all together and call it ballistics. So that might be a weapon, but it might also be the ammunition. So ballistics. Yeah. And with ballistics, it's not just finding the weapon or the ammunition, but for example, it's looking at things like patterns that are produced on casings after firing, etc. So that would be physical evidence. Shoes, absolutely. So footwear, including foot impressions. Okay, good. Any others? Yeah, clothing and fibres. It doesn't have to necessarily be the whole item of clothing, but certainly fibres. Yeah. Anything else? Anything else?
Glass.
So you could also include, hang on just a second. Closing the door. It's all right. My family making too much noise. A big one would be IT. So that would be mobile phones, laptops, tablets, anything like that. But also CCTV evidence would come into IT. Okay, and the other ones that they specifically want you to know about as physical evidence that we will be doing more on after Easter is documents. So documents, that's looking at things like handwriting analysis, as well as printed documents, being able to work out what sort of scanner they were maybe produced on or printer. So there's all of that. So again, you could just do it, present it how you like. So what is the physical evidence? What might it tell you? A little bit of background about it. And then how might you analyse it? Well, the idea here is you possibly will just do a visual examination. Okay, it might be that you need to use microscopy, particularly with fibres. Okay, or it could be that you compare with reference samples, particularly with the document analysis. A lot of it is to do with comparisons with what they call reference samples. Okay, so the key thing with this, I will send you an email, is that this is all for P3. So you will have done P1, describe the procedures. You will have done P3, describe the analytical techniques. P2 really is a doddle. It's just, here's a crime scene. Which of those procedures are you going to use to investigate the crime scene? Here's some evidence. Which of the procedures for P4 are you going to use to analyse the evidence? And P5 is literally just producing a report, okay? The merit is justifying why you chose the techniques you chose. And the distinction is evaluating whether it was the best choice, what were the possible errors. So it really is quite straightforward. But I think until we know what we're doing, I personally feel, as does the advisor, we should at least be getting our heads around the past bit of this. And I think you'd all agree it's not hard, okay? And if we do have to complete this unit, my intention would be making it as painless as possible for you all, okay? I won't be making it difficult, I can assure you, okay? So, do you think you can work on that for the rest of this week and maybe a little bit over Easter so that when we come back, you will at least have done the past bit? Not too bad?
Yeah.
Hi Liz, I won't
good.
forget to send you things, okay?
Okay,
I won't
thank you.
forget. I've got it written down and I won't forget to send you, Justin, your numbers for your tests. I think the key thing is nobody should feel that they are going to be, downgraded in any way as a result of what's happened. Okay, you were all on track for really good predicted grades, and let's face it, if we're predicting grades for units you haven't yet completed and you can't complete, we can't suddenly, yeah, they're good, aren't they? The links on the assignment brief, Lawrence, everybody noticed. Do you mean those websites, Lawrence? There's a lot of information in there. Yeah, there's some that came from the board and I added some of my own. They are very, very good. You'll find everything you need. You probably didn't need to do much more research, Lawrence. Did you mainly use those? Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, you don't have to do a lot of research once you've got them. There doesn't need to be any typing it into Google.
I've put all of what
Okay,
you said
Joseph,
into the
it's
shared
on
note there.
yellow, Joseph, but I'll email it to you, okay?
Everything you've said I've put onto the shared notes area so people can copy and paste it there.
Oh, you're a star, and I'll send an email as well, okay? All right, so let's just keep this ticking over nicely. And as I say, I mean, good news is because as of Friday, well, Friday is staff training day, so there's no lessons Friday. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, I'm still due to be working. And my plan is to completely finish your marking, which is that microbiology assignment. It's had to go on hold because of trying to set up all of this, working from home this week and last week. But I am going to just do that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So, if you've got a distinction for my first assignment, I'm not going to suddenly give you, if we're told to base the grade for microbiology on that first assignment and your lab report on antimicrobials, I'm not going to suddenly take it down to a pass, am I? So, we're going to err on the side of generous, provided the evidence is there in the first assignment. We can't suddenly conjure up a distinction if you've got a pass for the first assignment, okay? But anyway, so does that help? Are you all feeling
You are now
A-okay?
unmuted.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, sounds all good.
Positive. I'm doing an awful lot of this because I can't see people, so I keep doing thumbs up for everybody.
Diane, what's the likelihood that we'll be back at some point after Easter?
I don't think we will be. I think it's unlikely. I think my gut feeling is that it's very unlikely. I think we have to presume we won't be. I mean, looking at what's going on the news, on the television, I haven't been given any information, but, they're talking about extending this lockdown period, aren't they? And I think that what will happen is once they decide that the extreme lockdown period isn't needed, I think probably it will be a slow return to some sense of normality. So it might be that initially maybe, a few more meetings, if you like, in the sense that, for example, you can meet other members of your family, other friends. I mean, like, for example, at the moment, I can't see my daughter because she lives somewhere else. She lives in a different household, and maybe they'll start saying, well, actually, there can be a little bit more mixing, and then opening a few more shops that sell non-essentials, but with very controlled one in, one out. And then maybe they'll start gradually building up. I think it'd be a long time before social places are open, i.e. pubs, clubs, bars, cinemas, etc. Long time. Sorry, Holly?
England will fall without pubs.
I know, so I think it will be a long time before that happens. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if at some point maybe we go back into college before the summer. But I think it's probably quite unlikely that I think we have to presume you won't be coming back in before the summer. And if that happens, if we are allowed to meet socially, if the sort of lockdown has been lifted slightly, then that's where we would definitely meet up for our picnic in the park or something, because we can't not do that. But it has to be when we're allowed to. Yes, you will be able to get your portfolios. Again, I don't always give them out in July. It really depends on what they want to do for the sampling. So, for example, last year they did the sampling early, so students were allowed to take their portfolios in July. We had to get a sample ready. I think I came round and got 1 or 2 people to sign some paperwork. It was the week before we left college, so 2-3 weeks ago. We had to get a sample together, got it all together, scanned it all ready, and then we got an email to say, actually, we're pulling the plug on the sample, we're not doing it. So they didn't want that sample, they're going to sample later. So, you know, if you haven't collected them in July, which I think is unlikely because of the late sample, then certainly you'll be able to collect them in September. My advice would be, if you're going away to uni, that you collect them before you go. So that's what I would suggest. But yes, you will get them.
How would we go about like signing our what are they, assignments? You know, we have to sign every assignment brief. How would
they won't worry about that. I think they'll just waive that signing. I don't think they'll be bothered about that.
Speaking of which, do you
Sorry?
have heard anything from UCAS about this or not?
No, nothing at all. Nothing at all. I think the main thing is that, I mean, you know, I think that probably by the end of this week, there will be a lot more information. All I know is, if you look, yeah, the UCAS deadline has been extended, absolutely. But I think also, if you look on, for example, the BTEC Pearson's website, it says an awful lot about universities will be accommodating, you know, they will be taking into consideration predictions as well as final grades. So I think you'll find that you won't be penalised in any way. I just think it's just all a bit uncertain. But until we are certain, that's why I think it's important that we keep moving forwards and just doing little bits. And that's why these past bits are not too strenuous. And we'll just keep going with that and discover what's going to happen. I think after Easter, we'll have a definite idea. Does that sound all right? Yeah? Okay, so I will say goodbye. I'm going to go and have some lunch first, so don't expect an email instantly. I'm going to email Justin numerical values for the test. I'm going to email Liz and Joseph the assignment briefs. I'm going to send an email as well as the notes that Holly has very kindly done. Okay, so I'll send you an email about learning outcome or learning A and B. I'll send you that, just summarising what we've talked through. Don't mind whether it's a PowerPoint, mind map, table, but get it across to me, get it pinged across to me, because that way I can tell the managers that you are engaging and you are working and you won't get stressy emails. So, who was here today? There were a few people missing. Is Mickey? Mickey, are you on?
Yes.
No, Mickey? Hi, Mickey, you are there. Excellent. Josh? No, Josh? Is Josh in? No, Josh? No, Josh. Alfie is, Holly is, Brandon is, Safi is. Justin is, Naomi, Ninesh, Fatima. Sarah, is Sarah with you, Fatima? Are you together? Because I have to do a register, believe it or not. Lawrence is, Piers, I know I saw Piers' name.
Yeah, he's in the call.
Yeah. It's because I just realised I can scroll down. Oh, I've just found a scroll down bar. Ooh, I can see. Oh, I see. Yasir.
Ackerman?
Is Yasir in? No, I didn't see Yasir's name. No, Luke. Reed is there. Vay is there. Jamie, I saw. No, Taylor. Taylor. I'm going to have to put. Taylor is going to get contacted. Ellen. Ellen, I'm sure you're there. I saw Ellen, didn't I?
Yeah,
Liz is there, Joseph is there. So it's Yasia, Luke, and Taylor. Did anybody find out about Josh? Is he not in, is he? No, Josh. So they're the ones that are going to, they're going to get a message from
Lauren
Dan.
said Yasira's sick.
What's that, Lawrence?
Yasira's sick.
Okay. Oh no. All right. I'll send him a message.
It's Corona time.
Wonderful. Right. I've done my register.
Oh, for God's sake.
Super. Goodbye, not Corona.
That's good.
I keep singing from I don't know if it was from the 70s or the 80s. There was a song which I'll sing to you, shall I? It went something like My Sharona, but I keep singing it, but putting my Corona. I think I'm My Corona. My Corona. I think I've lost it. And I'll tell you something, Corona beer has gone cheap as chips.
Because no one's buying it. There's genuinely
I am.
Most of America think that's how you get coronavirus.
Yeah, I know. I've always been, what's that song? I bet that you look good on the dance floor. That's me.
Oh no.
It's My Sharona. Look it up. Look it up. I don't know who it was by. My Corona. Never gonna stop. Give it up. Apparently, my dance. So there you go. Right. On that note, I miss you all very much.
Miss you too,
I think I can
Diane.
get the song.
Take great care, everybody. And let's keep our fingers crossed that we do manage to get in again. Thank you, Naomi. We do manage to get in again after Easter. But, you know, I don't think it would be maybe after May half term. Who knows? Who knows? Positive mental attitude. Over and out.
Yeah, let's go.
Yes.
Bye, everybody. Bye, Corona.